Mr. Ed here. It's been 10 days now since we processed all that honey. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I never even shot any of the video, or Charlie never shot any of the video of just how much honey we processed that day. And so to make up for that right now, let me show you what we processed on, that was the 9th of July. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drums that we took, honey that we took strictly from our uncapping tank. And the uncapping tank was right behind me. In fact, it's not there anymore because my honey separator is now set up where the tank, which is now, I had to temporarily move over there. That's it right there. It was set right here. And all of this honey right here in wax was taken from that tank. And on this side of the shop, this drum, this drum, this drum, and this drum, these were all taken from our extractor right there. So it's probably about, I mean, they're 55-gallon drums, but as far as the honey goes in them, I'm saying there's going to only be about 200 gallons of honey in those because we got so much wax in them. And on these over here, these are 30-gallon drums, but because we only have, the wax is so full on these, that there's probably only going to be about, if I'm lucky, 100 gallons in that one. And then in this 55-gallon, it's probably got about 45, 50 gallons in that one. So yeah, we processed a lot of honey. And today, this is what we're going to be focusing on. This right here. That is the wax that was in our honey that has now risen from all the honey that's in the drum, risen up to the top, and now it's time to scrape it off. That was a lot of honey, and we had some great guys doing that job, as y'all saw in that video that I posted the other week. But today it comes time to do the other part of the processing, which is removing that wax. Now, the first question that I always get about, well, Mr. Ed, why do you take another day to process the wax when you could have done it all at the same time? And it's true. We could have set up the separator, the honey wax separator at the same time, and as we're going along, feeding it in, spitting it out. But because my primary goal when we process honey is to get the honey out of the frames as fast as we can. If I spend time trying to clean up the wax that is all mixed up in that honey, it's going to delay that time that it takes for us to process all those frames. So for me, and this is just for me, it's a better way of doing it as far as expediting the process. I can run all my frames in 5 hours and then come back on a day just when I'm by myself, spend a whole day separating out the wax from it. It's just so much easier, and since it's really a one-man job, I can do this by myself. And the machine that I use to separate out the wax and the honey is this little jewel right here, the honey wax separator. I'm gonna grab the camera and show you some of the stuff, some of the features about it. This is a Man Lake honey wax separator. And this is just another machine that uses centrifugal force to push the honey out of the wax. And as you can see inside of here, we've got this drum, and it's full of those perforated holes. And as the drum is rotating, and it rotates pretty fast, spins really fast, it throws the wax up against the walls of the drum, and then the force of that rotation will then push the honey through the wax and into the drum itself, where it will then just drain down into my bucket right here. Now, when I bought this machine originally, it had some pretty nice features on it if you needed them. They just really weren't necessary for me. So the first modification I did was on the lid itself. Now, at this point, here and here, there used to be a stand. And on that stand was a heated knife. It was a knife, or just a blade that had electricity running to it. And you can control that heat from the controller right next to me. That was the first thing I said, no, I don't need that, because I am not going to be uncapping any honey frames on this machine. I've got a great uncapper I'm going to use. So first thing I did was, boop, I cut this off. That was the first thing I did. And then after I used the machine a few times, I said, well, you know what? I don't really even need to use this, because you can see the bars right here. These would, when I was doing it initially, I would dump all the honey up here, and it would go the honey wax mixture, and it would just go through. It wasn't necessary. So this whole lid thing, this is the second thing to go. Not necessary. The way my uncapper works, it scrapes the cappings off of the frames. So there are no like sheets of wax. And the blade that was inside of this thing originally was designed so that any kind of wax cappings, as you're cutting the sheets of wax off, it drops in there and that chops it up. So this bad boy, not necessary. So this is now taken out of the machine. It's in storage, along with the knife. It's in storage as well. I'll never use them, but I still have them. So this is taken out as well. And all I'm left with is the outside drum and the inside drum. So the next process is I'm going to grab one of those drums of honey with the wax on top of it, and we're going to start pulling off the wax on it and throwing it inside of our honey extractor. These are going to have the most amount of wax in them. So I'm going to start with these. And the reason I say that they've got the most wax in them, because as the frames are coming off of the uncapping machine, all of the wax that machine generates, and it generates a lot of wax. It's really small, fine wax. And as it's coming off of there, it's draining down onto the tray underneath the uncapper and running into the uncapping tank itself. And then when the frames are there dripping, they're dripping a lot of the cappings off. So let's open up this drum. And this drum is a heavy one. And I remember this drum was the last one, so I know we filled this one up, I mean, all the way to the top on this one, because we were trying to empty the uncapping tank. And so we just kept on putting wax and honey in there, and I mean all the way up to the top. Oh my goodness. And here is all the wax that is sitting on top of all the honey. Now I haven't any idea how thick this layer of cappings is. I'm down about 5 inches right now, and I'm still haven't seen the honey. Golly, it is a thick layer. Let's see if I can push the knife down till I hit it. Well, can't really tell, but it's a big, thick layer of cappings on here. So let's find out exactly how thick a layer this is. I'm gonna push the drum over to the separator, and I'm gonna start shoveling this stuff out. Look at that, we hit honey. All right, that is good enough. Can you believe it? So here, our wax was here, this deep. That's probably 7 inches, good 6 inches of wax on top, floating on top of that honey. So in honey-wise, on the barrel, that's almost 5 gallons right there. I don't have to clean it off like perfectly, because what happens as I drain this honey from the bottom, this stuff that's on the top, as the honey is draining down the sides, it will adhere to the sides of the drum, and the honey will come out really perfect. Let me show you what the inside of our separator looks like. It looks like a batch of oatmeal cookies that needs to get baked really good. But that is a lot of wax and honey in this. That's a lot. It's too bad I didn't have another camera showing as I was taking the wax out of the drum and putting it into the spinner, that you didn't see the spinner filling up as well. I know the rooster would have had 5 cameras on this thing to show all the angles, but I'm not as high tech as him. All right, with that done, let's go ahead and start the drum spinning and seeing about this honey getting out of that wax. Before I begin spinning the drum, there is one point I want to make, in that in real time, that took me almost 10 minutes to take all that cappings, all those cappings off the top of that drum. And I'll probably be spinning this drum probably, I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. So let's go ahead and begin turning on our drum. And there you have it. in real time. It was 7 minutes. I don't know how fast that's going to be when I do the fast motion. But 7 minutes. Let's open up the gate and get this honey flowing out of there, huh? Right, that'll be enough. Now these buckets are only 4-gallon buckets, and we've captured almost 5 gallons of honey from that one spin. With that honey being pretty much drained out of it, let's go ahead and now remove the wax from the drum. And there you have it. Man, that is a lot of cappings right there. It's still damp, but you can see it crumbly. So that is so much of the honey that was removed from all those cappings. All right, at this point, it's time to take all these cappings right here, and then I'm just going to shovel them into my garbage can. It's got a plastic liner on it. All right, that's good enough. Let me show you what I got in there. There's all our wax from that first batch. Wow. Well, I can't lift the thing up with one hand. It's kind of heavy, but it's awkward. Wow. So that's it. That's at least the whole process of one drum. We have 8 more to go. Each drum, well, that drum took just about an hour to clean it up. I don't think the other ones are going to be that bad, but figuring that an hour apiece and 8 more to go, that's 8 hours. So this is definitely going to be a 2-day job. So I'll get back to you after I finish everything, and I'll show you how much wax and honey that I got after the process. So we'll check back tomorrow, hopefully. Our drum is now removed, and all I have to do now is to wash this thing out with a little bit of cold water. And of course, it'll just go right down the drain and out the building. With our cleanup all done, real lickety split. Everything pushed out the building. Let me show you what we got for our final take. Out of all that wax, this is the honey that we were able to separate out of it. Now, this one, it only has about 2 gallons of honey and about halfway full in this one. But all these other ones are full like that. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times 4 is 36, and times another 2, so 38 gallons of honey that we were able to separate out of all of these drums, from all these drums. And this is the wax that we got. Whew, that is a haul. That's gonna make some beautiful, beautiful blocks of wax. Well, I got almost everything cleaned up. but the bees are going to finish taking care of all that for me. This is just the drum that was inside of there, and they're getting all that stuff that I didn't get off of it. Just push it out here and let them clean it up. So that's it. How I separate all that wax from the honey, or the honey from the wax. And so a total of about, say, 10 hours for me to do that. Just one person to do all that. And it's a lot of work. If we had been doing that when we were processing our frames, it would have just slowed the process down so much. This way, I'd rather come back, do it, take my time doing it, and get that job done. And now the next step, of course, is bottling up our honey from the drums, putting it from the drum into our bottler, from the bottler into the jars, and then from the jars to the gift shop. And this Saturday, the 6th of August, we're going to have a big day over at the gift shop with the revealing of this year's honey harvest. And I tell you, it is a great tasting harvest. So that's all I got for you. Thanks for watching. Keep on watching. I'll be making more. God bless Mr. Ed and all these bees who are out here until the next video.